We do have a new handout for tonight. Did everybody get a copy of sheet number 16 back there? Who needs one? Show your hand. I'm waiting for the night where it's going to be perfect. Everyone actually got it. Yeah.
We're going to be in Luke.
We're going to be in two passages, yes. But since you said Luke, you go ahead and take Luke chapter 4, verses 31 through 37.
Thank you, sir.
Luke chapter 4, yeah, verses 31 through 37. Yeah. And let's see. Hey, Ashlyn, can I get you to do Mark chapter 1, verse 21 through 28.
That's perfect.
You go ahead and see already have, yeah, Luke's account.
And he went down to Capernaum, city of Galilee, and he was teaching them on the Sabbath. They were astonished at his teaching, for his word possessed authority. And in the synagogue there was a man who had the spirit of unclean demon. He cried out with a loud voice, "Ha! What have you to do with us, Jesus of Nazareth? Have you come to destroy us? I know who you are, the Holy One of God." But Jesus rebuked him, saying, "Be silent, and come out of him." And when the demon had thrown him down in their midst, he came out of them, having done him no harm. They were all amazed and said to one another, "What is this word? For with authority and power he commands unclean spirits, and they come out." And reports about him went out into every place in the surrounding region.
Then they went into Capernaum, and immediately on the Sabbath he entered the synagogue and taught. And they were astonished at his teaching, for he taught them as one having authority, and not as the scribes. Now there was a man in their synagogue with an unclean spirit, and he cried out, saying, "Let us alone. What have we to do with you, Jesus of Nazareth? Did you come to destroy us? I know who you are, the Holy One of God." But Jesus rebuked him, saying, "Be quiet and come out of him." And when the unclean spirit had convulsed him and cried out with a loud voice, he came out of him. Then they were all amazed, so that they questioned among themselves, saying, "What is this? What new doctrine is this? For with authority he commands even the unclean spirits, and they obey him." And immediately his fame spread throughout all the region around Galilee.
All right, thank you. Now, these passages cover Jesus' first tour in Galilee, plus some events in Capernaum before and after the tour. But the incidents help, to put the great in the great Galilean ministry. And so when you take question number 1 on the handout sheet, we're going to jump right into it. So question number 1 is, what quality of Jesus was demonstrated through the casting out of a demon in the synagogue? Because this, most likely, chronologically, could be wrong, but chronologically, the life of Christ, this will be the event of what takes place next after calling the fishermen to follow him to full discipleship. And so we see an incident where a demonic man, now what's interesting is that Mark's account refers to it as unclean spirits, but Luke, who's a doctor, a physician, refers to this unclean spirit as a demon. And so with this event, this incident that takes place, again, there's no fillers in God's word. Everything that is placed in God's word is placed in here for a reason. And so the reason would be to demonstrate the quality, a particular quality that Jesus has. And what would that be?
Power over the devil.
Yes, power and authority. Power and authority. So far in the life of Christ, we have been looking at the power and authority of Jesus being demonstrated with a lot of his miracles. And it's power and authority over specific things that we've been looking at. And so let's kind of do a little bit of review. Going back to his first miracle in Cana at the wedding, he turned the water to wine. And so what kind of power and authority did that demonstrate? Power and authority over what?
Power over liquids.
Over liquids?
Matter, earth and matter.
Yeah, okay. Earth and matter?
Material.
What?
Nature.
Material things, nature. What else? Time, yes. Power over time. Power over nature. Power over material things. Power over creation, in a sense. And so now, further on, we saw that he healed a nobleman's son. Right? And how did that take place?
Verbally.
What's that?
Verbally.
Verbally. So where was the son?
In another town.
In another town. He was. But what was going on with the nobleman's son?
He's dying.
He was dying, and so obviously he'd be back at home. And if you recall from our study in that, I mean, it was probably about 20 miles away where Jesus was. So Jesus was in the next door neighbor town. But Jesus did not have to be presently there, right? Yes, long distance. So that'll be, once again, like power and authority over what?
Distance.
Distance, but also, okay, the son didn't die just yet. We haven't gotten there yet.
I think she means, or whoever, power over the possibility of death.
Possibility of death.
Prevention.
Yes. Okay, so he was near death. That's what he says. My son is close to death. And we don't know exactly what kind of ailment the son had, but it was a severe sickness that was to the point where it was almost about to take his life. And even at the moment of almost near death, Jesus had power over that. But now what about all of death? Well, Jesus is going to demonstrate that later in his ministry as well. Yes, and so we have, power over creation. We got power over time. We got power over material. What's that?
Over death.
Yeah, over the day. Yeah, he will have power and authority over death, and he's going to demonstrate that later on. But power and authority over disease as well. Let's just say, if the son had some kind of terminally ill disease that was eating him away. And so now we see power and authority over what here?
Demons.
Demons, yes. Power and authority over the demonic. That's right. So even not only in nature, but in the spiritual realm, he has power and authority, right? And I always think of watching those silly little, you may call them documentaries, but like those exorcist movies or something like that. And what's interesting is that, when you watch those movies, I mean, it's like they're exorcising an evil spirit out of somebody, but they're going through this long incantation, and you're like, oh, dude, are you almost there at the end? It's like, you got to go through this long incantation in order to cast the spirit out. But did Jesus have to do that? What did he say?
Come out.
Come out. That's it. That's all he had to say. That's all he had to say. He didn't go through this long incantation. He just said, get out. Boom. And he's out right away. And so, power and authority over the demonic in the spiritual realm. So, a key word in these texts that we are looking at from this incident, both Mark and Luke's account, is the words authority or power, depending on how your version that you're reading from translates it. When Jesus spoke in the synagogue in Capernaum, the people were amazed at his teaching, where he was teaching them as one having authority and not as the scribes. Now, Jesus astonished, those present, not only by his teaching, but also by his actions. Now, when he cast out a demon, it says amazement came upon them all. This is Luke's account right here. Amazement came upon them all, verse 36. And they began talking with one another, saying, what is this message? For with what authority and power he commands the unclean spirits, and they come out. Now, Jesus' remarkable demonstration of authority set him on a collision course with the Jewish religious leaders, because this is something that's new. They've never seen this before at all. They've never seen somebody with such power and authority that they could cast out demons. So when you see something that you've never seen before, what's the first thing you want to do?
You'll be amazed.
You'll be amazed. Go tell someone. Go tell someone of what you just seen and witnessed with your own eyes. And so this is going to gain a lot of, I guess, I don't want to use that word popularity, but let's just use it in a very loose term here. But he's going to be gaining a lot of popularity. I mean, because word is going to quickly travel from place to place, town to town, people to people, mouth by mouth, ear by ears, and sooner or later, they're going to be flocking to him. He's going to have a large mass of followers. And the crowd was so amazed that they began asking, what is this? Who is this man? In Mark's account, that is going to be a major question. And in his testimony that he reveals is that throughout Mark's account, he is going to be asking the questions, who is this man? What kind of authority does he have? That the winds and the seas obey him? Who is this man that even the demons are being cast out? Who is this man? Who is this Jesus? Well, the demons already knew who he was, right? What did the demons say?
You come to torment us.
What?
You come to
Torment us.
torment us.
You come to okay, but what did they refer to him as? The Holy One of God. And both accounts reveal that. What did Jesus immediately do?
Told him to be quiet.
Basically, he rebuked them. He basically told them to be quiet, get out now. And that often leaves people with questions like, why?
He wasn't ready for that. He was setting it up. They hadn't got ready for the final stuff.
Okay, yes. Yes, that's a good summary. No, that is a good summary, Vicky, is that he is trying to get things set. He is trying to, prior to his death, he is wanting everybody to know who he is. And so remember, this is just still towards the beginning of his ministry. And so a lot of, I guess, I don't want to use the word scholars, but I'll just go ahead and use that term loosely too. But they refer to this as being like the messianic secret. Now, what does the word messianic mean?
Messiah.
Okay, Messiah. There we go. All right. So yes, it's talking about he's trying to keep his messiahship, as a secret right now. And a lot of people have often kind of wondered, like, why? I mean, why does he want people to know?
So he doesn't get overcrowded.
Oh, yes. I think that's another good reason. It's because he does not want to get overcrowded yet. Because, the people are going to be flocking. Now, when we're talking about people,
Jesus mania going
I want you to think of, like, the biggest concert that you've ever been to.
Triple it.
What's that?
Triple it.
And just triple it. Yeah, probably triple it. You can double it, triple it.
He'd much rather, I always thought that he'd much rather have people that saw it say, I'd come closer to believing what you told me than what somebody else said.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, that makes sense.
I mean, look, I could come to you and say, you know what I seen today?
Yeah.
I seen, and they'd come closer to believing it because it's your friend and you trust that friend or brother or whatever.
Absolutely. Especially the friend that you trust and the kind of character, reputation, and credibility that he has. If he's one that's not prone to lie or something, then yeah, you're going to be like, well, why would he lie about this? And then so you'd be more prone to believe that friend that you trust. And so many reasons could be offered as an explanation for perhaps why Jesus wanted to keep this a secret. But I think it was time. He wanted enough time to prove who he is prior to death. I think also, get this, he wanted to keep it a secret because he said so.
But that never worked.
I know it never worked, and we're going to get into that. But I think there's three major reasons perhaps why he wanted to keep this a secret. Number one is that he's going to have a mass of followers, overpopulated crowds. We're going to see that in Mark chapter 1, verse 28, 32, verse 33, verse 45, chapter 3, verse 10, verse 26, chapter 6, verse 44, and verse 54 and 55, and chapter 7, verse 24. I know I went through this pretty quick, but yeah. A lot of references in Mark's account where it says that his crowd was just overpopulating him. And so the second one is that he needed enough time to, prior to his death, for people to know who he was. And thirdly, because he said so. Get this. In chapter 1, verse 34, again, this is Mark's account. In Mark 1:34, chapter 3, verse 12, chapter 5, verse 43, chapter 7, verse 24, chapter 7, verse 36, chapter 8, verse 30, chapter 9, verse 9, and chapter 9, verse 30 are all references where he's telling them to not say a word to anybody because he said so.
Because his time is not come yet.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's those three logical views that we just looked at. I mean, his time has not come yet. He's preparing it. Overpopulated people, and because he said so. But now we'll see, as Braden mentioned just a few seconds ago, that are people going to follow what he said? Most of them don't. Most of them don't. And I'll stand here and I'll be honest with you that if I were to put myself in their sandals, I don't blame them. I probably wouldn't keep my mouth shut either. Especially if I was born blind, never been able to see what my wife looks like, never been able to see what my kids look like, never been able to see what my mother looks like, never been able to see what my father looks like, and then this man, Jesus, heals me and I can see. You bet I'm going to be telling people. Yeah.
Guess who I saw for the first time today?
Yep. Yes.
Jesus.
Opened his eyes, and like the first person he sees out of everybody is Jesus. Wow. That's a powerful lesson right there that we can put together.
I think the religious people, like rabbi and all that kind of stuff, they wanna believe.
Yeah.
Like you said, this guy opened my eyes,
Mhm.
and what happened? They said, "Who is this guy?"
Yeah.
And then you tell them, and they say, "No, I not believe you." That's our thing too.
It is another thing, and here's what's pretty interesting is that okay. I just lost my train of thought now.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. It was to go along with what you were mentioning, and my mind's been all over the place today, so it'll come back to me. It will. It'll come back to me. All right, but continuing on real quickly, looking at Matthew chapter 8. Can I get somebody? Let's see, Chris. Can you go over to Matthew chapter 8? And I want you to read verses 14 through 17. See here, and Vicky, can you do Mark chapter 1, verse 29 through 34? Mark 1, verse 29 through 34. And sweetheart, can you do Luke chapter 4, verse 38 through 41? Luke chapter 4, verse 38 through 41. Luke chapter 4, verse 38 through 41. Now, Chris, go ahead.
When Jesus came into Peter's home, he saw his mother-in-law lying sick in bed with the fever. He touched her hand, and the fever left her, and she got up and waited on him. When evening came, they brought to him many who were demon-possessed, and he cast out the spirits with the word, and healed all who were ill. This was to fulfill what was spoken through Isaiah the prophet. He himself took our infirmities and carried away our diseases.
And immediately after they came out of the synagogue, they came into the house of Simon and Andrew with James and John. Now Simon's mother-in-law was sick with a fever. And immediately they spoke to Jesus about her. And he came to her and raised her up, taking her by the hand, and the fever left her. And she waited on him. When evening came, after the sun had set, they began to bring him all who were ill and those who were demon-possessed. And the whole city gathered at the door. And he healed many who were ill with various disease, and cast out many demons. And he was not permitting the demons to speak, because they knew who he was.
All right, thank you. All right, so I kind of want to get to this point because we're still in the process or the incident of Jesus' healing in Capernaum. So there's an incident at the synagogue, And what was Jesus doing at the synagogue? He was preaching. Yes, he was preaching with authority. And it says, while he was speaking, this man just comes running in, and he's convulsing, and he's in a rage. And so tells the spirit to come out of him, the unclean spirit to come out of him. And then after this incident, they go to Peter's mother-in-law. Now, that should say something. When you have a mother-in-law, what does that mean? What does that imply?
Married.
You're married. So this easily, simply debunks of Peter being the first pope. All right? So we'll go ahead and just get that out of the way. This debunks Peter being the first pope. All right? And so in the meantime, word had spread concerning what had happened in the synagogue. So they're still talking about what's been going on in the synagogue. And so this is after sundown. Luke chapter 4, verse 40, in his account, he says, all those who had any who were sick with various diseases brought them to him, and laying his hands on each of them, he was healing them. And you were supposed to read that. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're supposed to read Luke 4, 38 to 41. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Now he arose from the synagogue and entered Simon's house. But Simon's wife's mother was sick with a high fever, and they made a request of him concerning her. So he stood over her and rebuked the fever, and it left her. And immediately she arose and served them. When the sun was setting, all those who had any that were sick with various diseases brought them to him. And he laid his hands on every one of them, and he healed them. And demons also came out of many, crying out and saying, You are the Christ, the Son of God. And he rebuked them, did not allow them to speak, for they knew that he was the Christ.
Thank you. Now, another thing I kind of want to bring up a little bit is that, so not only do we just have one demon from the synagogue, we now see that he is casting out multiple demons out of people. And every single one of them is acknowledging Jesus as who? The King, the Christ, the Messiah. Somebody turn over to James chapter 2 and read verse 19.
You believe that God is one, you do well. Even the demons believe and shudder.
Even the demons believe and shudder. I think that is definitely proof, according to the accounts of the Gospels, where the demons, they believed, they had some sort of faith to the point where they knew about Jesus and who he was. And they even confessed him as that. Now, the context of what James is talking about is that there were many Christians there at the Church of Christ in Jerusalem who were saying that they were Christians, but their lives were not showing it. And that's in the context of faith without works is dead. I mean, if you have faith and if you believe in God, then your life's gonna what? Reflect that. Show it. It's going to prove it. And so what James is saying to these members there in Jerusalem, they're saying things like, oh, well, we're a Christian. Yeah. James says, well, that's good, but your life is not showing it. You're no better than the demons. Ooh. Woo! You're no better than the demons. Because the demons say that they knew Jesus, they confessed him as the Christ. But did their life show it? No, of course not. They're demons. They're followers of the devil. Of course their life's not going to show it and reflect it. So James is saying, you're acting just like them. Ooh, wow. Woo-hoo. That's one. I love James. I know that we already did the class on James and everything. I love his style. He's straightforward, rips it off like a Band-Aid, doesn't beat around the bush. He doesn't hold back. But the reason why I bring that to our attention is because, it is sad. Well, before I say that, I will mention the fact that a few weeks ago, I actually saw somebody wear a sweater. And a sweater that says, 5 out of 5 demons say that Jesus is God. Yeah, 5 out of 5 demons say that Jesus is God. And that's a powerful shirt. But then it got me thinking a little bit. But isn't it sad though? It's also sad at the same time. Why?
Because, for example, if you say 5 out of 5 demons that said God, and now prove 5 out of 5 Christians do not say God is a savior. That's another one.
Mm-hmm. Christians may not verbally say it, but their life may show it if they're not reflecting their faith. Yeah. And you worded it in that way, but I was going to word it this way. It is sad that demons acknowledge Jesus' deity while many human beings refuse to do so. And then to kind of go along with what you stated and with what James was saying, it's even worse or more sad when Christians themselves are acting like demons because their life is not reflecting Jesus Christ. They're not living as if they do believe in God. There's that old saying that says there's no difference between a believer and an atheist if that believer's life is not showing and living as if he believes in Jesus. Everybody get that? You need me to repeat it? Okay, all right. And so we see Jesus, going back to our incident here, Jesus is healing in Capernaum. He's doing all sorts of healing, casting out the demon in the synagogue. He is healing people of various diseases. And so once again, it's demonstrating his power and authority over disease, over the demonic, really just over creation itself. And so let us continue on. And Matthew chapter 4, verse 23 through 25. We're going to see that from this incident of Jesus casting out demons, we'll see later on in his ministry that some sort of elitists are going to be giving him a hard time about it. They're going to be claiming that, he's able to cast out demons because he works for Beelzebub, which is another word that they refer to as Satan. And obviously you can see that the scribes and Pharisees lack common sense, because Jesus will tell them, saying like, if I was working for Satan, then why would I be casting out his demons? That doesn't make any sense. But anyways, we'll get to that when that incident happens. But they're going to be using that to try to get the people to turn against Jesus. All right, Jesus.
I got another one. Remember when the Pharisees or the high leader say to Jesus, "Your disciple cannot cast a demon out." The disciple of Jesus cannot take a demon out.
Yeah.
And God say, because his faith is a little bit, and Jesus cast his demon out.
Yeah.
That's our thing, because the disciples were with Jesus, and the disciples believe Jesus Christ is the King, and all the disciples are Christian. They should take the demon out easily, and they did not do it.
Yes.
And they said to Jesus, why they cannot take the demon out for him? That's another one.
That is another one, and that's going to be another message about faith. And so we'll get to that when that incident happens. But I'm glad you brought it up. But going on and shifting back into Galilee, Jesus' first teaching and healing tour that we have. So let's see. I know we're doing a lot of reading today, a lot of harmonizing of the Gospels. Let's see. I'm calling somebody who hasn't read. How about Trevor? Hey, would you not mind doing Matthew chapter 4, verse 23 through 25? And Cody, can you do Mark 1, verse 35 through 39? And Elaine, would you not mind doing Luke chapter 4, verse 42 through 44?
chapter 4, 23.
through 25.
And he went throughout all Galilee, teaching in their synagogues and proclaiming the gospel of the kingdom and healing every disease and every affliction among the people. So his fame spread throughout all Syria, and they brought him all the sick, those afflicted with various diseases and pains, those oppressed by demons, those having seizures and paralytics, and he healed them. And great crowds followed him from Galilee and the, I don't know that word,
Decapolis.
Decapolis, and from Jerusalem and Judea and from beyond the Jordan.
And he healed many who were ill with various diseases and cast out many demons, and he was not permitting the demons to speak because they knew who he was. In the early morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went away to a secluded place, and was praying there. Simon and his companions searched for him. They found him and said to him, "Everyone is looking for you." He said to them, "Let us go somewhere else to the towns nearby, so that I may preach there also. For that is what I came for." And he went into their synagogues throughout all Galilee, preaching and casting out the demons.
Yes, ma'am.
Saying, "Let us alone. What have we to do with thee, thou Jesus of Nazareth? Art thou come to destroy us? I know thee, who thou art, the Holy One of God."
Is it 42 through 44?
Through 44?
Yeah. Luke chapter 4, verse 42 through 44.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
And when it was day, he departed and went into a desert place, and the people sought him and came unto him and stayed him that he should not depart from them. And he said unto them, "I must preach the kingdom of God to other cities also, for therefore I am sent." And he preached in the synagogue of Galilee.
All right. So notice that Jesus is going now throughout all of Galilee. So he started off in Capernaum. Now he's going throughout the entire district and the entire region. And he's basically doing the same thing, preaching in the synagogues and healing. And early the next morning when Jesus went outside of Capernaum to a secluded place to pray. Now, think about all of what he has been doing. All that healing. All that work, all that preaching, all that teaching. You know, I think Greg can, testify and verify for me that, preaching can actually take it out of you. A lot of people think that, oh, you're just up there talking. I mean, that shouldn't wear you out. Woo, man, it actually does.
Mental exhaustion is about as equal to 8 hours of chopping cotton.
Yes, amen to that. Amen to that. And so he's doing that, plus he is actually allowing all this power to come out of him. Now, we'll see, especially like in Mark chapter 5 and chapter 6, that when the lady who had a terminally ill disease, we'll get to that later, but she had it for, over 12 years, and she touched the hem of Jesus' garment, and Jesus felt power come out of him. And so that is something interesting worth noting, is that when Jesus healed anybody, he felt power come out of him. And so all the elliptics, all the paralyzed people, the lame, again, I have to use The Chosen here for this because it paints a good visualization. But if you've been watching The Chosen, remember all those people just lining up, just going for miles, waiting for Jesus. And then comes the night, and they're around that campfire, and then Peter and Matthew get into it. And sure enough, while they're arguing, Jesus comes up exhausted, and he's like, "Good night." And I chuckled at because I'm like, oh man, I fell for him. But even before, out of being utterly exhausted, he just wanted to lay down on his bed. What did he do?
Pray.
He washed his own feet and prayed. And here in our text, Jesus got up early in the morning to go to a secluded place to pray more. Have you ever felt like that, just being completely exhausted? maybe beyond overexhausted. I mean, I think that we put too much on our plate, and I'm guilty of this. We put too much on our plate, that to the point where we overwhelm ourselves, we overexhaust ourselves. And then because of that, we don't want to give any time to spiritual matters.
And just think what parents do with all the scheduling they have for their kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Something every night, maybe.
Yes. Yeah.
I think something needs to change.
Yes, absolutely. Something does need to change. And more on that Sunday morning in the lesson. But I think this is worth noting before we continue on, because I think this is a valuable lesson. If Jesus, the Son of God, had to take time for himself, what does that say about you? You need to take some time for yourself. But notice, what did he do? How did he spend the time of himself? In prayer.
Talking to his Father.
Talking to his Father, yes. His Heavenly Father. Spent time in prayer. I guess for us, we can look at it, spend time in the spiritual matters. I tell you what, and I still believe it to this day, you can cross-reference this with 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 16. The reason why we burn ourselves out too much is because we are not dedicating time to the inner man and renewing his soul. That is what gave Jesus, believe it or not, the strength to keep going on, is when he used that time for himself concerning spiritual things, such as prayer. And that was able to renew him. And it's happened to a lot of preachers, happened to a lot of elders, happens to a lot of members, happens to a lot of parents, happens to a lot of even our children, happens to a lot of grandparents, the list goes on. I mean, we overexhaust ourselves, and a lot of times the reason why we burn ourselves out, the reason why we quit, the reason why we don't feel like doing anything is because we are not dedicating time to renew the inner man. If Jesus himself had to do that, what does that say about us? We have to do it. If Jesus, the Son of God, needed to do it, then I need to do it. You need to do it. We need to do it. Oh, man. Rings that bell. 3 minutes.
3 more minutes. 3 more minutes.
Okay,
Yeah.
but now this is good right here. We will come back and we will pick up in Matthew chapter 8, verse 2 through 4, Mark chapter 1, verse 40 through 45, Luke chapter 5, verse 12 through 16, and we're going to look at the healing of a leper. And because of this, there's going to be a result of excitement from this miracle when he heals the leper. So do your homework. I challenge you to study ahead. Study ahead and come back and bring to me your insights and your wonderful thoughts. And go ahead and answer question 3.
Would you repeat those?
Yes, ma'am. That's Mark chapter 8, verse 2 through 4. Mark chapter 1, verse 40 through 45. And Luke chapter 5, verse 12 through 16. All right.
It amazes me how each one of those gospels give different aspects of the same story.
Exactly. Different aspects, but message is the same.
Yep.
I mean, it's beautiful. Yeah.
I think you see the personality coming out even though they were inspired.
Oh, yes, absolutely. All right, well, then we are dismissed. All right, thank you, everybody.